Yeah. Other time is 10 o'clock and it's time to call to order the meeting of the Board of Coupeville. We start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am Mary Ann Burr, Commissioner for District 1.
And John Shaznick, District 2 Commissioner, is present.
Martin Vanderpass, District 3, present.
Are there any changes to the printed agenda? Changes or additions? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the approval of our. Oh. You're absolutely correct. I turned the page too fast. This time is for the public to address the commissioners on agenda items or other concerns. The board will consider all comments, but typically will not take immediate action. Please state your name, city of residence, and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
There is no public participation, therefore no public comment.
Thank you very much. Now we are on to number 6, commissioner action. We have 3 meetings minutes to approve along with the hearing. Well, one of those is a hearing minute and the vouchers. So we'll begin with, I will move to approve the minutes of October 9th, 2024.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor of approving? Let's just sign these as they come.
I'll move to approve the October 3rd, 23rd minutes.
Second. Is there any discussion about the October 23rd minutes as presented? Having none, call for the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval. We'll sign that.
I'll move to approve the
You stamp.
minutes of the October 30th hearing and regular meeting.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote, all in favor of approving the hearing minutes of October 30th. Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
unanimous approval. You're so good at it.
Got that radio voice. That's these minutes. This is the budget, not the vouchers.
Hmm?
This is the budget that you handed me.
Oh,
Did you mean to hand me the?
oh,
Right there up to your upper left, right in front of John.
oh, it was a different piece, different color, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You had so many papers.
It's a lot of papers. All right, I'm looking at our voucher approval document for all the payments that need to be made from the political bill
They did.
dated. Well, I make a motion to approve the voucher approval document dated November 13th, 2024 for the following amounts. Vouchers number 24-1101 through 24-1126
Would you speak a little louder, please?
$30,878.85. Payroll EFT 1101 for $14,714.01. And EFT. There might be a typo on this. They both say EFT 1103. For a total amount.
Yeah,
I don't know if that adds up. Don, maybe we should not.
yeah,
Check.
yeah, I wondered about that and I.
Don, can you review the voucher and
At the bottom there, the EFTs. And then the electronic voucher total also doesn't seem right.
we'll need you to unmute, Don? You're still muted.
Isn't consent agendas, isn't that where they kind of approve a whole bunch of documents all at one point?
Yeah, We've
I
never,
don't like that.
we've never
Yeah.
gone to that format. What it requires, John, I looked into it too. And I actually went down to the Port of South Whidbey and checked out how they do it. You've got to have all that stuff baked and ready to go a week beforehand.
Yeah,
And
I'm,
it's-
I'm sorry that I thought I didn't realize I was still muted. I was talking away. But it does equal 14,000 and then the next two lines equal the 23,624.17.
But they have the same number.
Well, yeah, that should be a 4.
But for total, under electronic vouchers, there's one for 3,900 and one for 5,000, and then it says total electronic vouchers 23,000.
Well, that's because direct deposit is electronic transfer as well. So the total of the 14,000 and the direct deposit, the total of the EFT and the total of control source equals 23,624.17.
In the future, could you indicate on our voucher sheet that the payroll is indeed electronic, so we don't have this confusion?
Yeah, the headings and the totals are a little confusing, just the way it's subtotaled there.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand what you're
thank you.
saying. I will include the payroll direct deposit underneath electronic vouchers from now on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What does control source mean?
Oh,
Under-
that is the vendor's name that we have to pay the health insurance through. For some reason, that is the name that we have to put the payment through to. Just like sometimes with Visa, instead of Heritage Bank, it's just Visa processing or something like that. This is
Our
what-
medical insurance.
So that's the
Yeah.
vendor for our medical insurance.
Oh,
And it's done electronically, so everything that's done electronically is
and
called
of
out.
course, you don't get to say what it is directly, you have to use a code.
It would be nice if it's a health insurance.
Well,
for staff.
I can put a hyphenate there and just put health insurance.
That would be, that would be.
Yeah.
And then one
Okay.
last question, Don, so they're both labeled EFT 1103, should the first one be 1102? The EFT PS,
Yes, yeah,
so can I make an edit on here and we sign this one?
You can.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Good catch.
Okay, well, I'm gonna rescind that partial motion I had before.
Start over.
New motion. I'm gonna move that we approve the November 13th, 2024 voucher approval document for the following amounts. Voucher number 24-1101 through 24-1126 in the amount of $30,878.85. Payroll voucher EFT 1101 in the amount of $14,714.01. And electronic vouchers EFT 1102 and EFT 1103. Combined with payroll for a subtotal amount of 23,624.17 for a grand total of $54,503.02.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Well, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous
Good
approval.
job, Mark.
Yes.
Okay, we are on to the executive director comprehensive report.
I'll take this. All right, let's give you guys some updates. I've kept you pretty much updated on via email, but the broadband project, we are waiting for Ziply to come back, and they've given us a date of November the 23rd to have their final tier legal team review the IRU. We think we worked out everything, which is great. It was mainly compliance with the PWB grant and the ability for the PWB to expand and reach homes that are non-served or underserved, that are outside our build area, and have the ability to tap into the Ziply infrastructure. And I think that in the beginning, Ziply was thinking that they had a cost play in this, an expense in this, and they don't. And so we just had to kind of make some language more clear and make sure that we all stayed in the parameters of the PWB funding. And I think we've got that all worked out. So I'm just waiting for them. And like they said, they're looking to get back to us on November 23rd. By November 23rd, we should have an answer by then. As you guys know, there's been a controlling interest that has been purchased for Ziply by Canadian Bell. So I was assured through Jessica that's not going to affect their operations. In fact, if anything, it's going to enhance their expansion. So that's all I know right now. It's good news right now. And then the other situation with our billing is moving forward. We're reviewing a response tomorrow that we've written, and we'll go from there. I'll keep you guys informed, probably in an executive session once we have a final draft of that. We'll have Seth come back on and update the board on where that's at. So right now, the broadband project is still moving forward. I need to contact PSE because we've had a lot of permits, easements, franchise agreements that are all in the works until I hit the brakes July 1. And so we're just kind of in a holding pattern not really a holding pattern. I need to reach out and get a hold of PSE and let them know that we're going to be, we're not going to be moving forward and using their poles and their pole attachments. So there is a chance that you may see some invoices come through for PSE. I'm not sure yet. I've had a stack of invoices from them for pole attachments that I did not pay because Ziply had said, pause everything, don't spend another penny on permitting easements, anything, pole attachments, because we already have all that. Right, so I didn't want to spend money,
Didn't need to.
Didn't need to at this point, because in the beginning, before Ziply said, yes, let's come back together. I didn't want, even though I put a pause on the project until we knew what was going on with retail, I didn't want to pause progress and permitting easement work and all that stuff and pole attachments, right? In case we had a Hail Mary that landed, I didn't want to have any hiccups.
Mhm.
So where we are now with flushing through all the available ISPs and partnering with Ziply, I'm very confident to pause and not, and pull that up. So right now, broadband project positive.
Question?
Yep.
Or
Sure.
summary, maybe for the people attending. So just let me know if I get this right. Our original project and grant funding was gonna be for about 1,000 homes in the Coupeville area. And this new modified project with our new partner Ziply is gonna be for about 300.
314 to be exact.
314, but in generally the same area as the previous ones.
It has to be within the same build area, within the same area of polygons. but it's all been centralized in kind of northeastern.
One block.
Yeah, kind of the northeast side of our project scope. And that's why, those homes we were rooting for, those 15 homes, and
Sure.
they were all kind of on the northwest side of our build area. So they did the smart thing, I gotta hand it to them, they have plant over there. And it's copper, so they went ahead and focused in on that area, hoping to utilize BEAD funding to pick up the remaining, which is that opened up, the BEAD funding did open up this week. But yes, that is correct. It's very concentrated where they're going.
Okay, and then the funding for this. Zipley will do all the construction and they'll get paid through the grant that we got. For our original broadband project.
Yeah,
That'll fund most of their construction.
yeah, so
And we'll get a small kickback for some of our costs. I don't kickback, but we'll get a small amount for our reimbursement
Yeah.
for our administrative costs for our staff.
yes, so how this works is they will actually design it, build it, and light it. And then, once it's lit and we approve that, we have a 5-day window to approve, so they'll do all their speed tests, they'll ping all these 314. We will see that, we will sign off. The Port of Coupeville then writes a check for the entire project amount.
And then reimburses from the grant.
That is correct. Now, that is a piece that I have been trying to get a hold of Tammy from the PWB to say, we can't write a check for $3 million, or $4
We
million.
don't have that money.
So how are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
So, because we are not allowed, when we do this subrecipient approach, to invoice and pay in chunks, and then receive reimbursement. We literally sit back, and once this thing starts, Mary and I really aren't doing much. It is Zipley doing their thing, design, keeping all their invoices, everything in line, all their federal reporting data and information that we're gonna need in our single audit. And they will just go to town and they will complete this project. And then, of course, once we sign off, this is all a clause in the IRU. Then we write them a check for the entire amount.
So hopefully the PWB, I mean, two things. One is the timing of that funding. Hopefully the PWB can either pay them directly or pay us in advance and then we pay them.
They won't pay them
later.
directly. Yeah, we will have to submit the invoices. Again, this is something I've been talking about, Tammy. They seem to not worry about it, but the way the rules are written is that we have to write a check for 3 point something million and then pay Zipley and then turn around and get reimbursed. So again, I'm still working out the details. I've told them many times.
Has to be a post-dated check.
Yeah. But I'm pretty confident we'll be able to work it out.
And then the other kind of concern I had about that is if we're not in a position to really approve that the work was done satisfactorily to all the PWB's standards for them to want to fund the project. So we need to get assurance from them that the design meets all of their requirements before we sign off on Zipley's design. We need to make sure that they've signed Zipley's design.
No, actually, it is the port. And it's not about their design. They can design however they want.
Yeah.
That is not being controlled by PWB. What we have to do is literally sit in front of their server and their computer screen and watch them ping these addresses to deliver the broadband speeds they say were the broadband that they are promised to deliver, right? And once we see that with our own eyes, we just simply sign off on the form and boom, we're done. And of course, that's backed up by data.
Who is the we that's looking at this pinging? That's what I
I don't
heard.
know the other two.
I mean, that's fine, but then like. Are there any contingencies with the grant funding from PWB that they need to ensure that it was designed in a certain way or that all these,
Not designed in a certain way, it just has to
Or that it's
continue to be an open
compliant.
access and, yeah, no, that's the easy.
okay, so as
That's
long
the
as
easy part.
PWB is comfortable with the cutting the check for this
Oh, yeah.
system, then.
So it's definitely open access.
Yeah, if Zipley refuses to serve any one of those 314. And another ISP wants to come in and serve them, Zipley must give them space in the rack to serve them.
And where's this rack gonna be?
I don't know where their hut's gonna be yet. We haven't gotten to that kind of detail, right?
Okay.
They've designed out the 314 homes. They've got a general idea. They will take another 60 days to finish that design, tighten everything up, where all the drops are gonna be, where the staking. And then at that point, I'll know probably where their hut's gonna be, but they serve that area via copper already, so they've got a hut over there. I just don't know where it is, where they're gonna use it.
So Martin touched on beads for funding. Is that a Washington State broadband office
It's a federal program.
federal? So we go through WS Wisbo.
I don't know who we go through on that. I haven't paid a lot of attention because I don't see us participating in that right now. I mean, we're trying to get this project off the ground. I know that Zipley had mentioned, maybe we can partner and we'll take advantage of some of this BEAD funding, but we have not talked about it because they got their plate full. We're just trying to move our IRU forward. So as far as BEAD funding, I really have nothing to say as far as BEAD funding right now.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't it true that an ISP wants to go into an area where they are confident there will be a sufficient number of people who buy their service once it's there?
Mhm.
Because all we're doing is providing opportunity. We are
For
not
people to sign up.
for people to sign up,
Right.
and that's why they have wonderful initial rates and everything.
Yeah.
So, I think Zipley may have gotten interested because this is a zone of homes
Yeah,
that they can assume many of them will sign up for service
Mhm.
that, with them and not want somebody else, and that once they've got them, I think right now, at this point in time, another ISP, well,
Yeah.
they've already got Zipley, why are we gonna
right.
waste our
And I think
efforts?
one of the terms of the grant for the PWB is that the system that gets installed needs to be open to other
And
carriers.
just because
If
it's
they
open
want to
doesn't
use it.
mean anybody goes through the door,
Likely, nobody else will end up using it.
but that
it
has
needs to be
nothing to
open.
do with it.
Yeah,
Because
that's not our,
The open access increases competition.
yeah,
Well, if it's appropriate for people to compete.
the possibility,
Because they can put their electronics in the hut
yeah,
and use somebody else's wire to the home.
yeah, right.
Yes.
So,
So it's possible somebody, Whitby Telecom or Comcast or
Oh,
somebody else
it's always possible.
would want to install there, and I'm not a broadband expert, so I don't know the business case for that, so.
That's not really, we're doing what the grant requires.
right.
And what happens from that point on is not up to us.
Right. And we wouldn't be involved in it.
We've done what we've done.
Our job was to build it and have it be an open access system. That's exactly what we're doing.
And that's what
So,
we're doing.
And I guess John and Chris's mention of the BEAD funding is just to say that there's another round of grant funding coming from the federal and state government that's just become available. And so there's probably gonna be other broadband providers that are gonna
Well,
go after this funding to serve more parts of Whitby.
the only reason I was asking about it, because at one point, in talking to, the person that's been, zooming into our meetings out there on Cathedral Drive, is your comment was, well, maybe BEAD funding will be used to close off that little gap there.
yeah, big gap, yeah. Yeah, so the BEAD funding would have to be ISP sponsored. Like I said, Zipley's interested in that, but none of us are talking about it. I'm a little worried about that, quite frankly, because we know we have 700 homes that we couldn't reach. But please keep in mind too, about 600 or so of those homes got served in the
Already.
time period that we started this entire process, 3.5 years
Some
ago.
other process, by,
Yes, yeah,
down or,
yep.
Zipley
is down. I mean,
I've got
It was
Zipley
perfect
and
example.
I have
Perfect
Zipley
example.
and Astound as.
Yep.
As options in
Yep.
my neighborhood.
and within the time period we started this thing, you got served. So that's good news. So if you really think about, there's probably between 200 and 300 addresses, when all is said and done, in our original list that had to be forfeited through this process. And I'm hoping that the BEAD funding will pick that up. To your comment earlier about why ISPs are playing now, they've never played here in the past. There's a reason why. There's just not the densities to make it worthwhile, right?
It's
I mean,
too
to
far
serve
between the
300
possibles.
Right, 314 homes is almost $4 million. That isn't it, right? The reason they're doing this is because it's being paid for. Ziply is gonna get reimbursed on, I forget, not 100%, but they're actually matching. They're in it for like $344,000. So they're actually matching some funds.
But like 90% of it is getting paid. by-
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's the
why
good
they're doing it.
Yeah,
That's what the grants are.
that's why they're doing it. If we didn't have this federal funding and this money, I would probably bet to say that those homes will still continue to be unserved or underserved.
Well, isn't it true that some ISPs can get grants directly?
Yeah, that's what the deed funding would be.
Oh, okay, I did that.
Yeah, yeah.
Deed funding is just a name.
But there's a dozens of these grants. Some of them
Right.
are
And
only eligible
Retail
for
has
government.
received multiple.
Right, some of them, the ISPs can apply directly, some of them, like the ones that we got.
So you're like federal amount. I think.
Well,
There's federal, state and PWB, like we got a PWB that we had to be the lead on. Zipley couldn't have got that without our
your
partnership.
privately held companies like your Zipleys and your Sounds and your Retails, they don't really have a lot of grant opportunities. What they have is USD funding and different types of funding that are very low interest loans.
Mhm.
And that's what Retail did. They had a hybrid. They got, I don't know how much of their money, but a very good portion of their money was a long-term, low-interest loan, which has been available for a very long time, even when I was in the business. This grant money that's coming out is really funneled through the municipalities and must partner with an ISP. It's this public-private relationship. So this is kind of a new thing, and this is why it's been so turbulent getting us off the ground for the last 4 years. It's new rules. It's a new program, but it's working and people are getting served, and that's what we care about. So, yeah, so that's where we are with broadband. Good question. Thank you. And also to answer the other part is yes, once we sign the IRU with Ziply, we will be inputting our labor costs as project managers, Mary and I, into the system and getting that reimbursed. So that's gonna be between 30 and 40 grand. Yeah.
Does the PWB, our grant source funder, do they need to review the IRU or have they reviewed? it?
No, the one thing that they've been very clear on is that we will not review, approve, or disapprove your IRU. You just need to make sure that your agreement complies with our rules, and if not, who's gonna be responsible? So that's why we get this done. I'm still gonna
Yeah,
send it to Tammy. I'm still gonna go through it, but that's why you have people like Seth and Kara looking over this because thank you. They're making sure the port is in compliance and they're gonna make sure that Ziply is in compliance.
Well, Petrocor has been a regular recipient of grant
Oh, yeah.
funding.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they have IRUs with Ziply.
so when does PWB decide whether to cut us the check for when we submit our expense, $3 million expense for reimbursement? Has that already been approved that they'll just,
Well, they had a meeting.
Well,
They
I
approved.
just wanna make sure
our
there's
scope,
not
our new
some-
scope.
they already approved the.
Yes, they've already approved the change of scope. I'm waiting for that contract.
Yeah.
Which still kept the same grant amount, which still also kept the same WASBO amount.
Uh,
So we're still at 6.4 million.
and so Zipley can draw from. as
They,
much as
they have their scope where they feel this is what it's gonna cost, and I don't see it costing much more than that. With their match, and so, there probably will be, when all the dust settles and everything settles out, there will probably be some money left on the table. Because we did change the scope of work with homes, but we didn't change the grant scope.
Right.
That was a major win for the Port of
And that
Coupeville.
money would just, won't be drawn from the grant.
Correct. Now, keep in mind, we've also,
They'll give it to somebody else in the future.
probably, they'll probably put it back in the pool.
Yeah.
Also, we have already drawn from the PWB and WASBO. We've been drawing from them all along
Yeah,
with all the design,
true.
and we will continue to draw from them as we close out the billing issue with JS.
Yeah.
My issue with granting has always been the reimbursement timing.
Yeah.
Because we have such a small, we depend on the timing of the tax collection to build our possible amount to make the initial payment and wait for the reimbursement. That is always, for every single grant, whether there's been an upfront contribution from us or not. It always is a timing issue, and I I can see we finally run into something where we're really aware of that with such a big payment to
Yeah.
be made and waited for, because it, like I said, posted the check.
Well, so on this one here, I'm pretty close with Tammy at Curb, so. In a situation like this, she knows this project of ours intimately, intimately. We have been the most challenging project in her entire portfolio.
I believe
So when
that.
we talked about this, she was like, Chris, you're gonna give me a heads up a couple weeks before. You're gonna send us the invoice. I will be looking for it. I can turn this around in 1 to 2 weeks.
We
So
haven't
I'm
actually,
not, what's that, Dawn?
we haven't actually done that yet. I've actually kind of done it the same way as, you know, just waited for the invoice to be paid and get verification of the check. But we do have that possibility. I just haven't taken advantage of it yet because we haven't needed to.
The possibility of getting an advance for the money?
Yeah, as long as we have the invoice. We just,
Before we pay the invoice, we can get
Yeah.
them to pay us. And then we can pay the invoice with that money. That would be ideal.
Wouldn't it?
That, Don, that may change when this, with our, if we sign the RU with Zipley, that may change because we are the subrecipient right now. This is now gonna go to Zipley being the subrecipient. And, what I was told was, we cannot submit invoices during the project. It has to be at the very end. And we have to be reimbursed from a paid invoice. So things change when you change the subrecipient role from a municipality to the ISP. So we'll see, but I've already spoken to Tammy about it. She has told me don't stress. So I'm sure we can put a plan in place.
okay, okay.
So John agreed to float the 3 million in case we need some time. Any other questions? Good questions. Thank you.
Bring my checkbook.
We got some time.
Okay.
You got 6 months. We go with 7-1? Any more questions or?
I think we can move to 7-2.
Great, so the envelope repair project is moving forward. They are looking to bring the barge to do the rocks at the end of November, Mary?
You're an envelope, not okay.
Am I an envelope?
Envelope.
Oh, sorry about that. The wharf envelope repair project. Thank you. Let me see here. So this is going smoothly. Mary and the team has done an excellent job moving this project forward. Mary is the captain on this one. It's still here. Isn't starting. There we go. They have, I'm gonna show you some pictures here. They have already. Have any of you guys been out there lately in the last
I
2
had
weeks?
just glanced this morning, dropping off mail at the post office. I looked down there and said,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah.
no clothes on."
No clothes, right. So, these guys, we're very happy with this vendor, probably the most efficient vendor we've ever worked with, especially on a project this scale. They have uncovered a lot of surprises. We knew there was gonna be dry rot. We just didn't know it was gonna be in the spaces it was. Their desire to move and to fix and to keep pace. Their follow-up has just been spot on. And the things that we've encountered, we just circle everyone up. We get our staff together, we get their staff together, get their vendor representatives together, and we just knock it out. So we're very happy with how this is going. They have an entire crew, probably 10, 12 people out there, just, you know, in some pretty bad weather. They're still up there zipping around, pulling stuff off. We are doing this dance with Wiki Telecom as well as our own staff to make sure that all the wiring for the entirely new camera system has all been set and ready to go. Wiki Tel came out when all the siding came off, they ran all the wiring internally, and then as soon as the sheeting went up, all those wires were drilled through, pulled through, so it's a really cool operation right now. This is what I want to show you guys, what we faced. You see right about here. Okay, you're looking at water, and this is literally the footing of the wall. So that's why that wall was bulking out and bowing at the bottom was, it had nothing to sit on. It wasn't sitting on anything.
So
So, you
that's
know,
the east side.
that's the east side, right? That's exactly right. Now, we thought all this was gonna be on the west side. That's what gets all the weather. The
Hmm,
west side was beautiful. South side's beautiful. Part of the north side was, it was all this east side, literally around the building, especially around the manager's
is
side.
that part the same age as the rest or is it newer?
No, that's original wood.
It is original.
Now, the west wall is not original, because that was rebuilt about, I don't know, probably about 15 years ago. by
Okay,
EV
so the
Reserve.
wall was built on the old footing.
No, this is the east wall, okay, so this is all original wood, and I'll show you some other pictures, all original.
All original,
100+
The
years.
west wall, 100+ years.
okay.
The west wall, that whole wall was rebuilt on a project by EV's Reserve. The siding on that wall is already toast. It didn't last very long. It lasted about maybe 8 years and then it just started turning to cork. But what's interesting was all of the internal 2x6s, the framing and the footer was in beautiful shape.
Hmm,
So that's really good news. Now, also what you see here, right up in here, okay? See that right there?
yeah,
Okay,
that's,
this is the planking that comes this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
All this is gone. This is all water. So what we did was, we decided we're gonna do this anyways, and we're gonna do most of this in-house. Is we removed all this planking along this entire east wall.
ah,
They removed this entire footer, which I'll show you here in a second. And that's just another shot of the entryway to the manager's office, where you can see this entire thing is completely rotted out. That's watered.
yeah,
They removed the entire footer, they replaced the entire footer, okay? They took these big giant lag bolts and put them in at angles to try to pull that wall back in. And all this brand new planking, which we can all purchase from a semi-local source, which will lead to this next step. These are the originals. These will all either be cut out and spliced with fresh wood, or if they're touching the footer, they'll be sister. They'll put new wood on each side of it, zip it together to give it strength. So this is,
But the remainder of the studs can be kept. They're not replacing all the studs in that.
they're only replacing the studs that are rotted. Yeah. Now, how they're doing this by putting the new insulation, the sheeting, this really super awesome vapor barrier that's actually an adhesive. It sticks on.
ah,
And the way they're wrapping the windows and doing the windows, we are flat out protecting this building for the next 100 years. I mean, it is pretty darn impressive on how this is all working back in. But in an effort to try to bring that bow back in a little bit, they've actually re-zipped, because they were able to take that footer and replace it. And that's gonna pull that wall back in a little bit. That caused some movement on the inside of the wall in the corners. The drywall has split and stuff, but that's all cosmetic. We can all do that in-house to fix that up. But just kind of gives you an idea. Here is running along the manager's office here. That whole thing was completely rotted out. This has all been new wood. It's shoved underneath the footer here.
So that interior side, oops, sorry, that you were talking about, that had some splitting, that's within Beaver Tails?
Yep.
Retail space.
Yeah. Mhm. And what we're planning on doing is, you can see this is all new wood here, this is a new plank here, is that once this is all finished, since we can purchase the wood, right, at probably a discount for us, we are just gonna start replacing this entire back deck. And make it all new wood. We're gonna keep all the old historic wood that is in good shape, probably at a 70% lifespan or better. And we are gonna start replacing all the other wood on the causeway. So we will start rotating the good wood towards the front, taking out the bad wood in the front and making that rotation. So this whole back area is just gonna look beautiful when we're
So a
done.
lot of this wood is in better shape than the causeway.
Yeah, because the causeway gets constant traffic, cars running over it. Which over time, that wood comes up, when you do that 1,000 times, the screws start to come up. You can walk the causeway and I'm constantly like, hey, Paul or Jeff, can you zip those back down?
I got it.
And then when you keep doing that, and nails that come up, yeah, exactly.
So that, all that sounds a little bit outside of the scope of the envelope and what we had originally, like, what's
It's not in the envelope repair. We're doing this ourselves.
Oh, I see. So all this decking repair is just in-house project?
Yep.
With IDB.
Lots, actually, some of this is, we're just doing it ourselves because we have the talent to do it.
Yeah.
And the decking replacement's actually on the capital finance, but I've had it on there for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
What happened was we were getting ready to replace a huge order of this specialty milled wood that is exactly this size. And COVID hit and those two plants shut down. There's only 2 places in the United States that could mill that wood to our spec. But what's awesome is that the wood we're bringing in, maybe 1/8 of an inch off in both directions. So once we start replacing everything, this is gonna look beautiful.
I see, to get it on the match.
Yep, exactly. Let's obviously look at the inside. Obviously, the window company's already there. You can see how they're wrapping these windows with this amazing moisture barrier. Then they bring in the new windows. Right now, they bring in the frame, you see here, and they zip the plexiglass over it.
Oh.
And then when the windows come in, they will unzip the plexiglass and they'll install the windows and these windows have been treated with the same epoxy primer that we used on the west side of the 24 Front Street building where we rehabilitated the small building up front, our Gillespie Meat Market building. They use the same materials for that, which these windows will last a long time. The maintenance schedule, they're gonna send us a maintenance schedule, but pretty much every 3 years, if we just go out to slap a coat of paint on it, they will last a very, very long time. So very happy with the vendors they chose. Here is the east side of the building. I showed you the footer that was there earlier, completely off. You can see the old insulation in there. The attic is completely exposed, all the wiring, etc. Uncovered some opportunities there with wiring and the crew got on it right away. Another shot at the back. You know, we're basically cutting off the back area for customers at this point. There's no reason for customers to be back there. They can still enter all the shops and see all our tenants, but we're pretty much gonna be taking over this back area. And this is also a reason why we're not gonna be working on this planking this time. We'll wait until everything is done.
I have a question about the windows.
Mhm.
Is it correct, just looking at the pictures, it looks like the style of the windows is different than it was,
No, they're gonna stick
They're
with the
going to
same
be-
style. Mhm.
right?
Yep, they look like they were before.
Okay,
Yeah, they'll look obviously much cleaner, not dry.
okay, I just didn't see it because it's plexiglass.
Yeah, like the temporary.
Yeah, that's the temporary
Yeah, I
plexiglass.
get it, I get it now,
So-
thank you.
At the same time, our staff is remodeling the office now. As you remember, we rented the back of 24 Front Street out to
Yes.
Wharf Dog Paddle. And there used to be a wall right here. That wall is now gone. There used to be a wall back here, which is where the public shower was. That has been removed. The grease trap has been relocated further this way. This whole area here, there'll be a wall that comes across. And then this area here will now be the employee restroom and additional storage for staff. It'll also be the entry point for the cafe to come in and clean the grease trap. We don't want them walking through our office. So this will all be remodeled with a desk, an actual sitting area where they can actually sit and have lunch, and it will be tiled. And it'll look beautiful when we're done. So something we've never had out there. It's a really nice office space for our staff to do.
All these pictures are so great. I imagine a wonderful presentation to the different groups of the public because this shows what their money is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, and we're just starting, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
took these just,
This is the start of a wonderful show,
yeah,
and which we need to do.
I took these yesterday. This is them just now starting the new siding. And to your point, Mary and I and Danielle were up front. And some people were walking up and they were asking what was going on. There was like 2 or 3 couples. They're like, we love visiting here. They were thanking us left and right for the building. They love coming here to visit. They're like, we are so happy, that this is going on. Thank you for what you're doing. I mean, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. So this is a look at Penn Cove Outfitters. Okay, we're looking west. They are just, when I got there, they were just halfway up the wall, putting up the new siding. It's gonna look beautiful. Color's a little darker. I think it looks just beautiful and rich and you can see they got the moisture barrier. They're working upwards. And then here's another shot to the left, just kind of getting you more of a close up here of what that sign's like, very clean.
Is that pre-painted? Is that what-
Yeah, it's all been pre-primed, pre-painted off-site to make sure our 50-year warranty is intact.
And then they'll touch up paint around like the nails and stuff that they put.
Yeah, so
or seal.
that was part of an issue that we had to work out. But all those nails, they'll have a paint pen. They'll come through and hit those nail heads and fill in the gap with the paint pen. And of course, we'll have, they're using paint that we can purchase. As well as the windows, and made sure we even had a call with Bear on Tuesday to make sure that we get paint samples, that they're using paint that we can purchase, that we can stock. So we could, maintain.
repairs
Yeah,
and maintenance.
exactly.
Good.
So that is the envelope repair. And it's, the staff, because we can do it, is we're the ones that are driving all the new lighting structures that go around the outside of the building as well as down the causeway. In fact, I had a sample that Mary had picked out that's in the truck now. We'll take it down there. It's all gonna look pretty much the same. We're still looking at the quality, but we're gonna redo all the lighting, keep it really classic and period, and we're gonna do that ourselves. So instead of going out and with labor, getting, $500 a light, we'll go out and spend $180 a light.
Yeah,
And just put it in ourselves, because we're just replacing like kind. So we're trying to take on as much of this project as we can internally. Jeff's doing a fantastic job out there. Paul is an expert in framing. So all the stuff we're doing as far as framing, redoing the employee restroom, moving the grease trap. We have a professional plumber coming over and making sure everything's the code, so everything is going right to plan. In fact, they're on track right now, if not even a little bit ahead, but again, they're only ahead because they haven't hit any severe weather yet.
Well, now they have.
Now they have, so we're looking at probably a February completion date where we can sign off. So, our goal of having that building completely rehabilitated by the end of 2025 is it's gonna happen. And I even think that the dock, which I'll get to, will happen as well. Any questions on the envelope repair?
when can we schedule the shows? I can see that, people have, for so many years, have not really respected the Port of Coupeville what it hasn't done. And being able to see that this is an ongoing successful project. And the construction pictures are interesting. People are interested in seeing the beginning and the progress.
Yeah.
And I think we shouldn't wait till the end.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea. What if we had like a community event at the Coupeville, what is that gathering place right in
The rec center?
the rec center? Yeah. And we could promote it, and it's open to the public. And then we could just have maybe another month or two when the siding is up, or
I
we
like that
could just
idea.
give you could give a presentation and just be like.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's a
think,
good place.
yeah,
They've got a big screen,
What
they
do you-
got the whole,
What do you think, Chris or John?
Well, I was thinking, or one of the issues I thought is, all the wood that they're yanking off, this bad wood, could that actually be sold
Yeah.
as a souvenir?
it's gone.
No, I'm just saying, you give me like a little plastic bag and say, I bought a little piece of.
Yeah, all that was
It's already gone to the.
already gone to the dump, already been dumped.
Okay,
We thought about that, John. I even thought about what, we bring up the old nails, right? We have buckets of old nails, right? That were pulled out from the 60s when they redid part of it. The problem we ran into was they have such little space to work at. They get to put one dump trailer down the dock. And there's no place to store anything. The time it would take for us, we have no place. So we thought if the wood and the wood was pretty bad when you start pulling it. It was, when you pull off siding, it's crumbling off. We couldn't pull that off. We thought of it. We just couldn't. And they had to literally back and forth, fill that dump trailer, get it out to the dump, bring in the fresh wood, hit that up, pull out the next section of bad wood, dump back in the new sheeting. It was pretty tight. So
Okay.
we wanted to look at repurposing and even bringing it out here to build, but it was
Okay,
It was too much, yeah, it was too much.
Good idea, though.
yeah.
It was great, yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. Okay, any other questions on the?
What did you think about a public event?
We're already planning a huge ribbon cutting.
Okay.
I think to Mary Ann's point, I think the general public may not know who the port is, but I think all the people who are in the know who we are and what we're doing. Cause we get it, I've been,
Well,
yeah, but I mean, we need to make
Yeah,
it
that's
public.
kind of the purpose of this.
Yeah, I think we could do something like that. I think we need to do a better job of, now that we have pictures coming in and we have actual movement. Is, we obviously have this in the newsletter every month, but now we need to kind of create a website drop where people can click on a link and just see the entire thing in progress. So we'll work on that for next month.
well, you have to realize that not everybody is adept at
Sure.
accessing things through the
Yeah,
internet.
but I think people would.
And we gotta remember the demographics of our central Whitby.
Yeah,
There's a lot of us,
yeah.
and we don't all have the skill
I wonder if
to access information. I have been asked so many times, how do I get the newsletter?
I wonder if someone,
What's your email
if,
address?
like the museum would, I wonder if somebody else could like host it and you could just like show up with your laptop.
If we were, there's all these groups that have monthly meetings,
Yeah,
and we're not going to them,
Well, I think,
and we have a show.
well, we're going to,
Well,
we're going to them. I mean,
But
we're
we've
looking at the
got a
Lions
show.
Club. I mean, I'm keeping the chamber involved. John's now taking my spot at
yeah,
Schwab's.
or the Chamber of Commerce might host it and
But we
if you
need,
just had. to
We can
show
host
up-
it. Your idea is great.
Yeah,
We can actually do that.
we don't need the leaders, we got touch with the leaders, we need touch with the voters.
Yeah, just people who are curious, like live in the area and there's
And
like.
we'll have a
"Wow."
place to go on Thursday night.
And then we'll promote the event and they'll see like, oh, this is, I wondered what was going on with it.
Yeah.
Let me check it out and see the construction.
We'll use our partners to get the word out, but we'll host it. It's a great idea.
Okay.
We'll host it. I'll call Molly. I'll get the
Just-
rec center
Just have-
reserved and
I think it'd be worth it.
We have,
I think so. too.
we've always
Absolutely.
asked them to come to us,
Yeah,
it's time for us to go to them.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll use our partners to get the wood out, to get the wood out, to get the word out, and then we'll put it up. I'm thinking refreshments, I'm thinking finger foods, I'm thinking, let's make this a pre-celebration before the ribbon
Cost
cutting,
a
right?
few $100 or whatever, but,
Yeah, it's probably $400,
Some of your
$500.
time. but
Yeah,
I think that would be good to just get more people interested and paying attention.
I agree.
Yes.
It's building the resume as we talked about for a
Yeah.
couple of years, right? I agree.
People love that museum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully they can promote it. They probably have a good mailing list that people.
I've always been surprised there's not a stronger connection between the wharf and the museum. It's
Well-
because of who's been running the door.
then who's what? Running the port?
We need, in years past, when the museum was built, it was a separate volunteer project. And at the time that that happened, the port just didn't become part of it at all.
Well, I don't think that's all in the port. That's a different conversation, but
Yes,
the
but
previous
whatever,
executive
whatever.
director, I think, had a lot to do with relationships in the community. But
Yeah,
now that we have a new executive director, Dalva is amazing. We have been working as a partner ever since she came on.
oh, that's
In fact, we're
wonderful.
meeting Friday to review, we'll put in all new, which I'll present to you guys later, all new interpretive signs around the wharf, and we're
Oh,
working with
good.
them to do it. No, we have a full-blown
Well,
partnership.
It's in progress, I'm so happy to hear
Oh,
that.
yeah. I just don't report those things because it's day to day
That's
for us.
wonderful, because it's a natural connection
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
in
in 7.1?
location as well as concept.
Mhm.
okay,
Okay, are we on to the bulkhead now?
Sure. So the bulkhead is, it was a slow start. I mean, my gosh, that was February this happened, but. Again, we have a good vendor that's supporting us. And Endurus, our insurance company, has been very supportive. So we are looking at them coming in to fix those two parts of this project. There's the bulkhead itself on the west side of the causeway, and then there's the stairs erosion on the east side of the causeway. The two have required different permitting approaches. The bulkhead project, I think we're there, right, Mary? And they're pretty much getting ready to bring their big, not their dredge, but their barge, thank you. I think it's the end of November. And they'll plant that and it'll maybe be a week and we'll have that whole thing done and taken care of. We have agreed on a mitigation point to permit the stairs. So we're actually moving forward with NIPS, which is surprising. You know, with our history with them. And we're looking to also get the stairs done. We'd like to get it done before the end of the year. We're not sure yet. But again, all that cost is covered by insurance. So right now, this is now moving forward, get the bulkhead repaired, and then hopefully soon after, which was a project that I wanted to get done when I first started, was getting the stairs completely redone down there. And having all that shored back up again and good solid footing, because that's also what's holding up that walkway. That goes to the back of 24 Front Street, right? So everything on the bulkhead is moving forward now.
And that was covered by Endurance?
Yes, that was an insurance claim.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that was a it was storm damage, happened overnight, so
If it would have happened gradually, just because of the tides, it wouldn't have been covered.
that's right.
But because it was a big storm.
Yeah. It
Well,
literally
that
collapsed.
that other stuff happened, but it was the storm that pushed over the edge.
We don't know, but,
Yeah, we don't know what.
so that's all I have for 7.3. I'll keep you posted when the barge actually come out, we'll document that as well, with pictures and so forth. Any questions for the bulkhead? Nope.
Let's
Martin, any
move on to
questions?
the
Nope.
other, the wharf dock repair.
Yep, so we are moving forward. We're actually in the final permitting stages with the county. It's moving along just fine. Tomorrow, I'll be attending the Preservation Committee review of the dock project. And I'll have Doug on Zoom to back up any technical questions. Once we get past that, we're pretty much now sending in the JARPA and getting the final permitting from them and NIMS. To move forward with that, the dock repair, the design of the dock, the gangway, the new length of the gangway. Is all pretty much solid and set. It's gonna be a really nice dock system. It needs to be specially designed, because this isn't a dock you'd see in a marina. It's a dock that just gets beat up, right? It's in the elements. So one of the points of feedback that came back from one of the preservation committee members was they'd like to see the piles on the dock be wood to match the wharf, and that's something we're not gonna do. There's already 2 steel piles out there. We want them to be steel. We want this to last a long time. One of the things we'll be looking at, which I don't think is realistic, at least not for long term, is you can actually sleeve those steel piles in black or brown, and they look sweet. But that dock takes such a beating that I don't see those sleeves lasting very long. You can also paint them with an epoxy-based paint that's actually you can put over that galvanized steel. But again, they take a beating, and I don't see that lasting very long, as well as the maintenance upkeep in the future. And so there's some things that we're still working out, but tomorrow that goes, that meeting starts at 10 in the commissioner room, and I will be there. Once we get past that, we'll get the JARPA submitted, and hopefully, one thing I did want to say, because we removed more creosote and materials in the pile and cap project, we have mitigation points that are banked, which means that we will be charged mitigation points to pull out all that old wood and re-drive steel piles. We think this is gonna go smoothly as far as permitting, because we are not expanding our footprint. We're not going any different than where we are now. Pile comes out in the same divot, pile goes in. We feel that we have enough mitigation points banked to actually pay for the permitting on this one. Which we want to take advantage of that, because this is all coming from our IDD funds.
So is the permitting only with the county, or is there other?
Oh, no, the permitting starts with the county.
I see that.
Once that gets finalized, that allows us to now submit the JARPA to the United States Army Corps of Engineers. They then will go out to the tribes. They will go out to the National Marine Fisheries Services, which has been the big pain. Fish and Wildlife, which we've already communicated with them. And they're actually very supportive of the project, especially removing the wood and
Yeah.
inserting the steel in the same exact spot. So it really, the big question mark is always the National Marine Fisheries Services. The person who is now at the Corps, that has been representing both our bulkhead project and our pile project, she has been incredible. She has been very responsive, and it's completely night and day from what we dealt with back in the day with piles and caps. So
So what's the meeting you're going to tomorrow?
it is the preservation committee, whenever, that has to sign off on it to finalize the permit from the town of Coupeville.
The committee of what group?
It's the local group it's their preservation committee. So when we went through this with the wharf, yeah, we had to do it. The piles and caps, we had to do it. I had to go.
Are they
and-
with
Stevie's Landing.
Stevie's Landing Group?
Coupeville Town Council?
Yeah.
No, it's not the case. Yes, so the people that are on this committee are a part of the ED's group.
Oh.
Okay, so you're gonna have,
So if they're a committee, they have to be on to something larger, and that's my question.
yeah. ED's reserve,
Okay,
yeah, but it's not their board, it's not the same group.
it's a different committee.
It's a
subcommittee.
separate committee, because you have Marcia Bronson on there and so forth, so.
And they have power because they are a federally established.
Cause we're within the reserve.
We're within the reserve.
So do they have to approve the envelope project as well?
Mhm.
I see.
Of course, we all had that mitigated beforehand, because anything we did, we went to EVs, we went to Josh.
Yeah.
And then we'd go to the town, Joshua, right, and we would all flush out. It's interesting because when it comes to the building, it's a no-brainer, we're replacing it with shiplap, just like it was built in nineteen.
Yeah, and the windows are gonna match. We're preserving the historical look of the building.
Exactly, but there were no windows before, and there were hardly any doors before.
Hmm,
So honestly, when it came to the doors, like, no, do what you want.
Cause those weren't historic.
Well, historic, and a lot of the windows weren't there.
Yeah.
But we want to keep the historic nature, and we want them to be wood, we don't want them to be vinyl. So that all was no problem, that zipped right through, that was not a big deal at all, but we had to do this with the piles of caps.
So would they prefer wooden piles even though those
They
have
wanted-
environmental
it was-
problems?
they were bringing up the wooden piles because they wanted to match the wharf, which I appreciate their attention to detail.
Yeah,
Right.
look historic.
Yeah. The other project that they weighed in on that I had to go in and present, and I actually brought Lexi down for that one, was the roof. This was one of the first times we were able to use these new metal shingles on a historic structure, first time in Island County that we know of, that we were able to use metal shingles. And so we came in and did a presentation.
So the
Because,
roof is part of the envelope repair.
no, I'm just giving you an example of when this preservation committee had to review and publicly approve the project.
Okay,
Yeah, and the first time that I was involved with them was the roof project.
which was its separate
It's a
project.
separate project. I'm just letting you know the
Here-
examples of why the
Done.
preservation committee would step in.
Yeah,
Where they had to give approval.
Done before our DD projects began.
I had to do the roof before the piles and caps because the
Yes.
flipping permit was taking so long with piles and caps. I couldn't wait any longer with the roof. And then Mother Nature blew 20% of the roof off.
Yeah, so.
yeah,
Remember that?
yeah.
So I had to go in front of the
That was
preservation
number
committee
one
to
project.
present why, we had to prevent the stats. But what happens is the town of Coupeville, Joshua and their team, they put all this in play beforehand. They review everything, they present all the data, they present their recommendation for approval. I'm just there in case they have questions and then to be a face of the port, and then Doug is there if they have any technical questions to answer that I'm not qualified to answer, so. Okay, so dock repair, start to move forward on that. The designs and the engineering's already been done. So once all this permitting gets finalized, then we will actually go and manufacture, have the dock manufactured. But all that has to be in coordination with the pilots. And we're also thinking too, that it may be that we can still build a dock, because that our dock is shot. We lost 3 floats in the last winter. Is we can actually bring in the dock and install the dock, and then if the piles and caps are later down the road, we'll just install the
So
pilots.
is
I
the
mean, the
dock
pilots.
wood?
What's that?
Is the dock wood?
Oh, it's wood. It's a very old dock.
Yeah.
We have just been replacing wood in it ourselves, that the floats just get knocked off, and there was one storm, we lost big floats, we lost 4 or 5 of them, that was an insurance thing.
Do we know how many slips there are on that dock? How many boats can tell you?
We don't do it by slips, there's no slips, it's 200, the dock is 200 feet long, so it has 400 linear feet of available lineage space.
Okay, so if it gets filled up, it gets filled up.
But we also double and triple wrapped. So like in the summertime, if boats completely line the outside of that dock, we will actually tie boats onto the boats. So if you want to get to your boat and you're on the triple raft, you have to step over 2 boats to get to your boat.
Yeah, I get it.
And that's normal.
Yes,
That's
it's,
all. Okay, any other questions in 7.4?
okay. Well,
Is
now,
that, sorry, on our budget, is that the whole dock project covered under the budget item 700,000 wharf moorage floats?
Mhm.
That's what
That's what we're estimating.
the whole dock and the new piles and stuff is.
Keep in mind that's the 25 budget. We're already gonna be spending, we already have money allocated for this year, such as engineering, permitting.
Okay.
That's already been spent and will be spent. So you're seeing the remaining balance that we feel will take to drive it.
Even though it says moorage floats, it's really the whole dock system. On the.
Yes, that includes, yes, that, yep.
700.
yeah, that's it.
Got it.
Let me get the budget up here so you guys can see it. I'll see you, might as well throw it up there just for reference. As you can see, short form. One side on one page. This is what gets submitted to the county. And other agencies, so. Numbers are as discussed before. This point. To the board to adopt the 2025 budget.
We need a motion to approve. that.
Absolutely. And then you'll approve the 4 resolutions that support the budget, IDD. The amount of the
Want me to
IDD.
make it or you
and the-
make it?
no, go ahead.
I make a motion that the Coupeville Commission approves the final budget presented to us for fiscal year 2025. Showing gross revenues of $9,138,995. And gross expenses of $9,138,995.
Good job. That covers it.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yep,
pretty well.
covers it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
My discussion item is to clarify what becomes, public, is that if someone wants a copy, they can get this by asking for it.
No, they go to the website.
That
Okay,
one's-
that's on the
That
website.
one's posted on the website and also,
We requested the long form.
the long form's posted on there too.
So
Okay.
that's the one with all the details.
So the long form can be requested as well.
It'll be on the website.
Oh,
It's on the website. Both of these are on the website now.
Okay.
I posted them on Friday.
Because people know how to. Our website is complex.
Okay,
And to go through it and figure out how it works
Hmm.
isn't automatic for
Mhm.
people who didn't grow up with the internet. That's all I have to say, but just because it's on the website doesn't mean somebody couldn't request a hard copy.
Of course, they can, absolutely, they can come in at any point during
Anything.
our normal hours and we will print out a copy for them.
they can walk in the door.
They can walk in the
Right,
door.
right. I just want that on the record for this meeting.
Yep.
and you're gonna keep the long form posted on the website? It's gonna stay up?
Yeah, it doesn't look clean to me, but that's what the board requested, so we will keep a log form up there.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? I'll call for the vote, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
unanimous approval.
Thank you.
And now we have, resolution number 311, the collection of an industrial development district levy for 2025. This is pretty much a boilerplate of resolution. Don't we pass this?
Yeah, we got to choose the
We
number.
pass this every year to reinstate our
IDD.
IDG.
Yeah, and we chose the number. I think that's the big thing. that we get to
Yeah.
play.
I'll make the motion then.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve resolution number 311 pertaining to the continued collection of an industrial development district levy for 2025.
I second that.
Okay.
And you have another look at it. Decrease and have it set. Okay, this is general and it doesn't have a dollar
It
amount.
does.
Where's the dollar amount?
Right here, 45 cents per thousand. That was what
Okay,
we had previously discussed.
right, we approved it and discussed it, and of course, I don't remember all the details. And my, after thinking about the way that the, county assessor presents the levy history for each year, for each district, which gives a levy, a levy number, a levy millage number, which changes every year because the other change is always in the assessed value. And because of the law of 1% increase, as the property values go up, the levy millage number goes down in the county assessor's report.
Well, I think this one stays the same, but our regular property.
Our
tax
regular one changes. And I'm wondering, is that because we're already at the 45 cents, which is our maximum?
Yeah, this continues to be a very confusing topic
Yes.
with the Department of Revenue, the Island County and the state auditors all giving us different answers.
Mhm.
But we're gonna stick with how we interpret the RCWs,
Okay,
is that we are gonna, the amount that was chosen in 2021 to represent the start of collecting in 2022. Is we are gonna keep that the same, but you gotta understand too, that we have carryover that we must budget for because not all the taxes come in a year. So my advice is to trust Dawn, let the number go. You guys
yeah,
you guys come up with, we are gonna assess this amount per thousand or none. Right? Right now, we need all the money, right?
Mm,
And
And
then we
then
can choose a lower number.
you can choose a lower number.
We
Let's,
could do 40.
you could choose 40, you could choose none for a year.
Yeah, or not.
20 years to do this. But because we're budgeting 13 million in projects, we're
Mhm.
taking in seven
Yeah,
and a quarter
we're gonna
million.
use the money. Yeah,
We're gonna use the money, right?
we need the money.
So,
yeah,
I would,
just to confuse the issue, when I, find the printout of the assessed, amounts for all of the districts, when I find Port of Coupeville IDD, the number they give that they collected for 2024 is not 45.
Hmm.
The millage they list is 36.
Okay,
And that's part of the confusion.
yeah, because the end result has to be the same number. How they arrived at the end result gets variabilized, right?
Right,
That is confusing.
yeah,
But the number was set by law
yes.
the very first year, and that is the number we go. We won't receive less than that, and we should not receive more than that.
Right.
So
Oh, you should not receive more. You don't, because we're already at the maximum.
that's right. There's no 1%.
That's why.
Right, there's no
And that
1%.
finally clicked.
Right.
We're already at 45.
we can't choose 46.
No, we can't choose, we can't.
By
choose
law,
to
you can't go more
increase
than.
by 1%, which would put us over the limit.
so this difference of opinion between peer, auditor, state, whatever. I would suggest we speak to the people at the port of Port Townsend, who was actually where I got the concept of the IDD. I read in their newspaper up there that they were renewing their IDD, called one of the commissioners I knew and said, what the heck's an IDD?
Oh, I don't want to confuse the issue anymore. I finally figured it out.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
if we need to see how they dealt with confusion at the state and county level.
maybe they didn't have confusion because they knew right away how it
Well,
worked.
they're doing what we're doing because when we were going through this, that's who we worked with.
Mhm.
And remember, what was our consultant at that time? What was his name? Anyways, and then you have our attorneys who are like, no, this is what the RCW said, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And that's what the Port of Port Townsend did. They followed the RCW. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
There's also the Port of Skagit. I just reviewed their budget for fun, and they have an IDD and they're not drawing the maximum. They draw a different amount each
Right.
year and they have all kinds of money coming in. They don't really, I mean, their IDD is a small fraction of
Yeah.
their money, but they
Yeah.
seem to be a much bigger staff, so they might also.
Yeah.
And they
might
have-
ping them about this question too.
They have longer term plans.
Oh, yeah,
They don't have emergencies to deal with like we are in effect.
I'm sure they have emergency.
Yeah, yes, but not to the level of dominating the budget.
Yeah, they're more
like,
growth
uh,
oriented, they're,
Yeah. They have a lot of stuff.
yeah, they do a lot of stuff.
Okay,
So we've got a motion.
we've got a motion
Yeah.
and a second, and
Any more
Uh,
discussion?
that we've been having a discussion.
Yeah, is there any more discussion?
Yeah, I don't know, is there?
Not from me.
Not from me.
I think we're good, right?
Huh?
Okay.
All in favor?
I,
Aye, unanimous approval of resolution number 311.
That's. Nope. Oh, yeah.
she's the president.
She's on the-
Certifying
she's
that-
on the hook.
Yeah, he's on the hook.
Certifying everything we just did, we just really did. That's all that
I
is.
thought she was
And
signing my,
even Chris gets to sign
I
it.
thought she was signing my test line.
Yeah.
Nope, you're on it.
You,
Taxes have always been confusing,
Oh,
forever.
and Dawn goes to the county's assessment, meeting every year. Every year. So,
so now this one.
All right, now we're moving on to resolution number 312 regarding the amending of the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements, which we need to do in order to stay in sync with our IBD plans. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve resolution 312, amending the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements.
I second that. Is there any discussion? No discussion, or call the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval.
and while you're signing that, all these resolutions as well as the new comprehensive, the updated comprehensive scheme will be posted on the website.
Okay, yeah, you got it twice again.
Yeah. I was here and I attest that it happened. Resolutions are important.
And then you're saying for Chris.
Thank you.
Right, now we have ordinance resolution number 313. The one in which we declare that we are asking for the 1% increase in our levy amount collected. Do I have a motion? This is the standard annual required resolution in order to have the 1% increase.
And to assess our normal levy.
Yes, yes, to get any money, you gotta
So,
put it in the paperwork.
These are different.
so why do we have a 313 and a 314?
Because
One's for the IDD.
one's for the IDD, we have to have a separate resolution that actually states the actual amount for the IDD.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we have two districts. So we have two,
We have two tax levies.
IDD.
called the ID
It
district.
could be different boundaries, but it's not.
No.
So I'm gonna do number 313. I make a motion that we approve resolution number 313. that allows support to have a 1% bump in its prior year's property tax levy.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Any discussion?
No.
No discussion, would call the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Unanimous approval.
So
Yeah, sorry, so,
just sign here.
actually print on the left, print your name on the left and sign on the right.
Okay,
Those are, those come from the Department of Revenue, the next two you're gonna see, and they only allow you to modify certain fields. So I couldn't print your name on there. We'll figure out how to do it in the future. Make sure we do that form. Actually, I would like to just get rid of that form and do our own resolution. In our own format.
That would be nice.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? We've been using this ever since I've been here.
It's their requirement, apparently.
You know, to your
I have
point,
to-
Mary, so we don't change the title of it. We can't
No.
change the title and do all that.
Do I have to have my district? John included District 2,
Yeah, you can put it on there if you want. Put it on
but I
there.
don't have to.
I don't know,
It doesn't say.
doesn't say.
Lancet.
I think it would probably be good to put the district on there, just because that's what we do on our regular resolution, right?
We're still gonna make a motion on that.
Oh, no, you don't put the district, you just put.
Did we
the-
vote on this one?
Yes, John approved 313. We haven't done 314 yet.
Okay. I'm doing 214 right now, which is the IDD levy that has no increase. No percentage increase because it's at its maximum. And we are going to levy the actual levy amount from the
Thank you.
previous year with $1,460,000. And we will, yeah, I already said resolution number 314,
No increase because it's IDD.
right? Mhm.
It's no increase.
No
because it's
increase
IDD.
because it's the IDD. Do I have a second on this resolution number 314? Any discussion?
I did second.
Okay,
John seconded.
John
Any
second.
discussion?
I'll call for the vote, all in favor? Unanimous approval.
Getting through them.
Yeah, you see that, actually the easiest part, you've seen these for a couple months, you know. The hard part is just finding out the correct number to input. Yeah.
Well, we got two or three public members again. Okey dokey.
Actually got to sign Chris.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah, you did the printing and not the right.
It's like buying a home, your signature starts just getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, this is a pretty important meeting to get all that paperwork done so we can get some money. Okay, our last old business item is gonna be staff wages, which was a presentation at a previous meeting. The staff, we're down to 8.6.
8.6, yeah. So this kind of fell in the gray area, so I wanted to bring it in front of the board. Next meeting, I'll be presenting the new wage policy.
Okay,
So I feel really good about it. I think we're on point with it, where we are on our timeline as a port and what we can afford and what we need as far as skills and the wage range. So I'll be presenting that for adoption at the next meeting. But what I wanted to do was, because there is no rule that says I can or cannot provide raises throughout the year, I really want to play it safe and bring this in front of the board. And what I'd like to do is, since the wages were approved by this board, I'd like to implement those wages as of November the first. That were approved today. And then, I also want you to,
Sorry, you mean the budget that was approved?
yeah,
Have
so
wages.
in those have an increase of wages. Earlier in the year, we wanted to try to get raises implemented to our staff, but we didn't complete the final wage policy. We wanted to present a wage policy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we've got that pretty much done. It's in my lap now. And I wanted to create wage ranges. So we were following the Port Skagit, which we really like their model. Simple, shows potential. And then depending on your experience, you come in at a certain spot. And I will present that next time. But I sat down with Dawn. And the wages that you've approved for the 2025 budget for each of those positions.
Right.
Right, yeah.
By approving the budget, we've approved those line items, which had wages. in
Which
it.
typically would start January 1.
Yeah, okay.
What and because there's no rule that says I can or cannot, I want to bring this in front of the board and say, talking to Dawn and looking at where we're going to end up in 2024, even with implementing the raises that have been approved on November the 1st, we will be within budget because I haven't been working for full-time for over 7 weeks. I've had Jeff out for several weeks on his surgery.
Mm.
I have one full-time employee that's only averaging about 28 hours a week, all the way up through the middle of October. So this will not create a financial burden at all. So I am asking that the board approve that I can implement raises for my staff on November the 1st of this year. So
it's
2 months early.
The same thing started sooner.
Yes.
Than we've talked about before.
Yes.
That's all. And he would just.
Didn't mean to
explain.
complicate it, but because this is, the ports never, that I know have never done this before, right?
Mhm.
And they rarely did raises before. Now we're doing this on an annual basis, usually happens in the budget process.
So you want a motion just to CYA. The port.
Yeah.
A motion to, so let me see.
Allow the
Let's
executive.
see if I can think through what you just said. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the raises that will be implemented in 2024 to staff. 2025,
That were approved in 25, implemented in 2020.
okay. I'm making a motion to approve the raises that were implemented in 2024 for the 2025 budget.
Just a little bit backwards, I think.
To make the 2025 wages effective November 1st.
Perfect.
Why don't you make the motion?
Yeah.
I withdraw my intended motion. Why don't you go for it?
I move that we direct Chris to
Implement.
implement the 2025 wages effective November 1st.
Second,
Okay. Any more discussion?
yes. So. And tied in with the increase in wages, I just want to make sure, a couple things. Are we doing exit interviews anytime we lose a staff person?
Whenever they agree to give an exit.
We request them, you request.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if someone's leaving, I know why they're leaving. I know way ahead of time. Because I've never really had anybody leave because they hated it here. It was just because they had to move off island, or so they would sit down and we would talk.
Okay.
But I already knew, it wasn't like it had to be like, oh, you're leaving, let's sit down and talk. I know, I usually would know weeks ahead of time.
And second thing, do we have a job description for every staff person?
We do, and you'll be, and I presented that the first time, but I will be presenting that again next
Yeah,
time.
we had a comprehensive 7-page document.
Yep.
That included that.
Yeah,
Okay,
you will get those.
okay,
I need to update one of them.
With the wage policy that you're gonna present to us.
That's
next.
correct.
Yeah.
Actually, the job descriptions will be attached to the wage policy.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, no, it's right on the money.
And then, so once we have a wage policy and the board approves it, you'll be able to act with your own discretion within following the wage policy.
That is-
You
that
wouldn't
is
have
correct.
to ask for this kind of permission.
That is correct.
Just because we don't really have a wage policy at the moment, you wanted to get a clarification.
Yeah, never had one. This will also be, I'll have to rewrite our resolution or update our resolution with our employee handbook. So that'll be updated as well, because it'll now be included in the employee handbook. But also, keep in mind, and this is, I don't want to muddy the waters, but the board still really controls the process in the sense that even though I've created a wage policy, the budget every year must be adopted by the board.
Mhm.
And the board can either accept or deny the labor budget that I present. So just know that just because we sign off on a wage policy, that wage policy needs to be reviewed probably every other year, every 3 years, depending on the activity of the port.
Yeah.
Where we are, right? So,
Or whenever something comes up that causes the board to want to review it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and in my view, it's kind of like we approve the budget for what types of work we want you to execute on,
Yeah, like the
and how
capital
much we
spending,
expect
yeah.
that's gonna cost, and then you have the freedom to decide how many people to hire and fire and what to pay them, and within your budget for
Hmm.
certain positions.
Yep.
You can use your own discretion.
perfectly said. You guys adopt the budget. It is my job to execute that budget and not go over that budget.
And then, like, you could have 2 part-time people or 1 full-time people, that wouldn't be a decision that we would have to make as long as you're following the budget.
I mean, the decision you would make?
No,
No,
that
no.
isn't
Yeah,
the
yeah.
decision we would make,
Yeah,
you can
so-
decide that on your own.
Yeah.
Asking us.
And this is the thing about the budget, is that the budget is kind of out the window on January 1, right? Because when January 1 hits, I'm in 2025, I could have a storm knock down a building here, and then the whole thing changes,
Mhm.
right? But barring all that, and we make adjustments, Don and I make adjustments throughout the
Yeah,
like if I have an expense that we weren't calculating on. I gotta kind of take a look at where else am I gonna pull that, because
Yeah.
my career goal here is when I leave, to have never, ever had to do an amended budget. That's just my goal.
but I guess, yeah, if you need to make significant changes to what we previously approved, like, oh, all of a sudden, there's a bunch of new work that needs to be done by our staff, and we need to hire an additional person, or there's gonna be a lot more hours, then I would expect that you would come to us, keep us. informed of that
Absolutely,
situation.
and possibly even seek your approval,
Right.
depending on the situation, absolutely.
Yeah, the way I see it, since you came on board for the port has been being rebuilt as a business that knows what it's doing, and it's taking
Thank you.
time, and we're getting to the point where we're aware of what's happening and we're able to make plans.
But we're driving change instead of just letting it go over our heads, right?
Right.
And it takes staff to do that, it takes a good board to do that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey.
Yeah.
William Bell and I is the one that approved him.
I
Remember that?
Yeah.
don't think you wanna go there, Joe.
It was a 2-against-1 vote.
Yeah.
I don't think you wanna go on the approvals you've made in the past.
Well,
I won't, and I know you won't.
Is there any more discussion?
Yes, we need to have a
We
vote,
have a motion on the table.
yes. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sends a positive message to the team.
Another unanimous decision,
Who made that motion? I'm sorry.
I did.
You did, thank you.
and John seconded.
Okay,
We
great.
are now on number 10, Commissioner reports. I believe Commissioner Masashek asked to have
no,
this,
new business.
yes.
9-1.
Oh, they're right on my phone. We have the holidays coming up, and we need to know if we really want to have our next meeting in November, the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, a couple dates I want to kind of point out. Let me go ahead and share my screen and then I can get the calendar up here, at least show you guys the calendar here. So obviously with the next meeting coming on the 27th, that is the day before Thanksgiving. And so I would just, wanted to see if the board wanted just to bump that up a day to the 26th. Most people are gonna probably take either the 27th off and the 29th for a long weekend. but I just thought I'd throw it out there. Typically in the past, we would just move it forward a day. Monday's hard to have an open public meeting just because you come right out of the weekend, right into a meeting, and Monday usually gives me time to make adjustments and
So,
so forth, so.
but we need that meeting, is what you're saying.
Yeah, oh yeah, we definitely need
We
the
need the
meeting,
meeting.
just to stay on top of vouchers, plus we're in the middle of this big project and we need to.
So
Would that help?
are we deciding whether we wanna move it back to the 27th?
To the
26th.
26th,
To 26.
from the 26th.
Yeah, so just move it one day
I-
forward to Tuesday.
Yeah,
Fine with me, I could do the 27th, but
I
that's
could-
probably, other people, it's probably harder.
Who are you referring to when you say people might be not willing, is that staff?
I don't think it's as much staff, I just wanna make sure that the board has an opportunity to discuss this and see if this is an issue or not. Right now, on the 27th, if there was an open public meeting, I would plan to be here. I don't think this is more of a staff issue, it's just more, it's always been brought up in the past by the board.
Would it be better for you if it was on the 26th?
26 is good for me.
Either one is good for me.
Dave,
Yeah,
that's good for me.
I'm good with the 26th. I mean, I think. I'll do either one, but I think the 26th would just be a safer bet.
What about Dawn?
Don, we'll do that on that week. Cause
Hello.
that's, you present your financial report.
No, I think that either is fine let me see, I got my calendar on December. The 20, so you wanna do it on the 26th instead of,
That's the idea. I don't think that would affect our voucher run that much.
no, it won't affect the voucher run that fast, and I actually will not be here on Wednesday. I've got my entire family and all my kids and grandkids coming in
There you go.
to town. So,
Let's do it on the 26th,
Okay, 26. Great.
but you have a common meeting on the 27th.
No,
I think they'll cancel that. They typically cancel that and the one in Christmas too.
Let's try.
Okay, are we going to also look ahead to December?
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and we'll move that open public meeting to 26th and I'll take care of all that legwork.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, well, yeah, we have to announce the change publicly.
Yeah, I don't follow the 24-hour rule. I primarily do like a 4-day rule. I put
Yeah,
everyone on notice a Friday before our meetings.
yes.
So that's not a problem. If you guys want to go ahead and just say, hey, do you want to make a motion to move it to 26th, prove it, you can.
Maybe we'll do them both together when we decide on the other one.
Okay. What are we gonna do in December?
So in December, you can look up here, Christmas here falls, I believe it's on Saturday, right? And so we have the meeting on the 8th. Oh, hold on, what is this?
And the
Oh,
27th.
no, hold on a second. I'm sorry. This is-
The 11th, December is on the
Let
11th,
me do this, December
and then we're trying to decide,
2024.
are we gonna meet on Christmas Eve?
I think I'll be gone that whole week, actually. Out of town.
Why is this? I hate when they split calendars like this. Don't do this, man. Just give
Yeah,
me the
what-
damn month of December. There we go. Okay, so you can see here Wednesday, Christmas falls on our second meeting. The 24th, that's Christmas Eve. We don't have a meeting then.
Can we postpone a week to the 30th?
I think I'm gonna be
That's
gone.
New Year's Eve.
I'm probably gonna be gone that whole week.
That whole week of Christmas, yeah, I think a lot of people are, because Christmas is right in the middle of the week, is gonna be gone, so we definitely can't move it up a week. Cause we're just coming off the 11th. So we could possibly move it to the 31st, that's an important meeting too, because
That's New
you'll be
Year's Eve.
discussing.
That's true.
True. that is
Because
New Year's Eve.
January 1st is a holiday, New Year's Day.
I
It
think
is
last
also
year, didn't we
possible.
cancel it?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we could also just cancel the second meeting. in
Yeah,
December.
because I think that's what we did last year.
Yeah. And the good thing as far as vouchers is that. The meeting in January is the quickest we could have a meeting on the
Oh,
8th.
oh, well then,
So it's not gonna affect the vouchers all that much, so we could actually just cancel that second meeting. And things typically slow down on the project front anyways, just because of the weather, but
Okay, so I move that we meet, we move the second November 2024 meeting to the 26th Tuesday.
1 p.m.
hmm,
at
Mhm.
1 p.m.
at 1 p.m. And that we have only one meeting in December at 10 a.m. on the 11th.
When was that 1 p.m. meeting? What day was that?
November 26th. So that just gets moved up a day.
Yeah, so we just moved.
And the 11th of December at
Is our
10
normal
a.m.
meeting.
That's that would be a normal meeting
Yep.
time.
Yep.
But there will be no second meeting
Yeah,
in December.
now, if something happens. And the only thing I can really think of something happening is if we need to approve some vouchers because we have something huge coming up. We can call a quick meeting.
Emergency.
You can even call a quick meeting as long as I have a 24-hour notice. We can quickly meet. Boom, approve vouchers and out.
Don't you have to call it an emergency one so that you don't have to
No,
make
no,
public
these are
notice?
just, no, in
You
an
can-
open public meeting, unless you have a public hearing, which requires advertisements and space before the meeting, a regular meeting can be called. And I just need to follow the rules. I have to have a 24-hour notice of.
But it is an emergency meeting. Because
we can
that's what you
also-
don't have to announce. That's what you don't have to publicize.
When it comes to the vouchers, I can actually produce vouchers and then have them approved after the fact, just kind of like we would do with payroll, depending on what the
Yes.
item is. And we can also, skip the meeting part and approve the vouchers with the commissioners, so that they're aware of them ahead of time via email as well,
Oh,
with an email chain.
Does Don have the authority to sign for us?
I know that may be from the county standpoint, but to have the board conduct business, it should be done in an open public meeting
Yeah.
format.
Well,
Okay.
has Don been authorized by the board to pay when the board, in situations like this?
Dawn's on her account, yes,
She has that authority to pay the vouchers.
yes. She
So
also,
then she can do it,
she could,
if
but,
she needs to.
yeah.
For
Yeah.
some reason.
There's only been one reason that I had to do it once, and that was for a permit that had to be done.
And then you guys just approved it on the next one.
Yeah,
We're talking about getting you together or doing an email chain.
Well, if
We'd rather have her just pay it and then you guys get together and approve it.
Because she would only do it if it was absolutely necessary.
correct. I would-
Unforeseen reason. That's the way we do it in the water district. The accountant is authorized. If, for some reason, something's happened and the meeting can't happen for lack of a quorum, the bills can still be paid. We just have normal, everyday, regular bills. We don't have any projects.
Yeah.
But it was an authorization given to the accountant. All right, I have made my motion. Has there been a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
So the December meeting will be on the 31st.
No,
No second December meeting.
no second
No,
meeting.
sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
there'll just be the one on December 11th and no other meeting. And we'll still move forward with paying vouchers. And then if an emergency does come up, an actual emergency, then we can call emergency meeting if we want,
Yes,
Yeah.
if necessary.
if necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yep.
Just clarifying.
Cool.
Right,
And just so you know, on the December 11th meeting, even though I can be here to kick it off, I will have to leave because that is my final post-op appointment for my shoulder surgery. So, we'll probably have Mary kick on that meeting and I'll join via Zoom until I get to Barry. Just a heads up. I'll remind you guys later. Okay, perfect. Fantastic. Okay. Good job.
Vote on that, or did we?
I don't think we did.
did we do what?
We didn't vote.
Was it a motion?
Oh, right, we were in the middle of John's question. All in favor? Thank you. I got distracted by.
All right.
All right, now we move to number 10, commissioner reports. Did John ask for a report?
So. Just so you know, I did attend the EDC, I see mashup meeting that, they've been having up and down the island. And, isn't EDC, Island County like one of our partners, or should it be?
Well, it should be, but it hasn't been, not for the last 7 years.
But now they got a new
Mhm.
ED, and I think, we should reach out to them. They're about economic vitality, we're about economic vitality.
Yeah.
So we should find a way to,
Write grants together, or, yeah.
keep each other informed.
Yeah.
So, and then I went to, Coupeville Historic Waterfront Association Economic Vitality Meeting.
Yeah,
And, that was kind of surprising, not surprising. Molly, from the town of Coupeville, was there. Jesse, their ED, Linda Eccles from the chamber was there. Vaughn, who's actually active with the Island County Planning Commission. He's part of that,
He runs that pillar of the Main Street.
yeah. And so, I think it was a healthy to have us, the face be there
Mhm.
for that meeting.
so
So,
tell us about the meeting.
it was a spirited discussion of, between Molly and the executive director about extending their footprint all the way down to Prairie Center.
Mm.
Whose footprint?
The
Schwab's.
Coupeville Historic
Historic
Waterfront Association.
Which is basically a Main Street program.
I guess
Oh, okay.
I made the mistake of asking a question. What's your footprint? And what's your area that
you
you?
cover. Yeah.
Yeah. It says Front Street, our historic,
Waterfront,
waterfront.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But how far back?
but the D has submitted a map to the state organization of Main Street organizations. Unbeknownst to, the board. And so when I asked that question about, what's your footprint? Whoa, it got pretty spirited about, so what is, their organization committing to now to support those businesses down all the way to Prairie Center?
Yeah.
And there was some discussion about people who were already volunteering from businesses down there, Don's businesses down there.
Yeah.
And so it got pretty, informative.
So is this map that was submitted a new map that replaced an old map?
It was a never before map.
She wants to
Yeah.
expand her boundaries to take in more.
So do they
But
collect,
the boundaries hadn't been established.
do the businesses have, are they businesses required to pay dues into this organization or pay?
I don't think so.
They can pay dues. Like we support them with both dues and the B and O tax.
Yeah, I think I remember it, seeing it in our budget.
And that was appreciated. I mentioned that during the economic vitality meeting. And it was greatly appreciated that we helped, support it with $500 or something.
700.
Yeah, they, for example, they pay for that, busking on the wharf. Or the.
One of the programs they do,
Properties,
yeah.
yeah, so they're spending money bringing people to our.
Yeah.
Property as well, so I think
Yeah.
it's a
So
good
anyway,
partnership.
Well, that's interesting that the name was meant to be the description of the boundaries apparently, rather than actually having boundaries.
Yeah. So just for the record, John's replacing me on that board because I will not work with that executive director.
Yeah,
Her values, her business values, in my opinion, are almost criminal, so I will not work with her. So
well,
I'm glad you're there because
Yeah, it
that
sounds
group
like-
outside that executive director is, I work with all of them anyways. They're amazing. Such a wonderful group. So, but I cannot sit at that table and
Well, thank you, John, for
Yeah, so
taking
thank
the
you for taking
initiative.
that spot.
Yeah. And during the little round table at the end, all our good work doing, oh. So here's a weird thing. So Molly told everybody that, they had a new emergency management person. And he decided to have a practice emergency in the town of Coupeville.
Oh.
He did not tell their police force. The emergency
Oh, my
was,
Lord.
the war had fallen into the war. That was the emergency
Oh.
put out to everybody.
Simulation.
Oh, my Lord.
Yes. So the police go screaming down to Front Street and look out at the wharf building and go. Because they weren't informed that it was a fake emergency training.
Well, they didn't tell us either.
No.
No.
Oh, no.
So, learning moment, town of Coupeville,
Wow.
their new emergency management person, to please tell people, you don't need to start, panicking. It's a
Yeah.
training session.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cute to hear that from Molly.
I mean, we work with the fire department to do things like that off the wharf, as well as here. They
Yeah.
come here and they'll do emergency training.
So at the round table,
Oh, my God.
I heard lots of compliments about what we're doing, about the wharf,
That's good.
saving the wharf. And the broadband. The broadband was a biggie too. That
Oh,
they were so glad that we initiated that project. When it's difficult, that they were glad because, their businesses need, better connectivity.
Yeah, it brings some infrastructure closer.
So Linda Eccles was there. So Linda Eccles.
What about Carolyn from Edie's? Was Carolyn from Edie's Landing there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she could be there.
Yeah. So it's like, rubbing elbows with some key players in
Oh,
the
yeah.
community.
Yeah, a wonderful group.
Yeah.
Vaughn's awesome too. They're just a wonderful. group.
wonderful.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my report that, been doing, attending public works board meetings, trying to keep track of their process and how their mind works, so. Anyway, that's my report.
Any more reports? I see we have the commissioner discussion as a line item.
Do you have something to report though?
It's either a report or a discussion.
Yeah,
You can pick.
I'll call the report. Yeah, at the last, ILIO meeting. There was, Heather Cordum, the environmental health manager from Island County.
A little louder, please.
Heather Cordum, the environmental health manager from Island County, was reporting on there's a new, I don't know how this might affect us, but there's a new rule that are going through DFW, the Department of Fish and Wildlife of the state.
Okay.
There used to be a standard called no environmental impact when you're trying to get a project permitted. I think it has something to do with the waterfront. I'm not sure exactly which projects need to go through this process. But DFW is pushing the state legislature to change these rules to a net ecological gain. So to make sort of like the mitigation points.
Oh, okay.
That strengthen that standard. So instead of just do no harm, you're gonna have to actively benefit
Okay.
ecological
That
systems.
sounds exactly what the mitigation points are like, yeah.
With your project, so
Okay.
that just might be something to keep an eye on
Okay.
if that's gonna affect us. I think it still needs, DFW is like finalizing the rules, then the legislature is gonna vote on
Oh,
it.
so we have some.
A few years out, but it might be worth looking into if we need to plan any projects around
Yeah.
that timing or something.
Yeah, maybe raising the wharf building, maybe. Okay. Okay.
Thank
That
you.
was it.
So
Thank you.
now discussion.
Well, I have a couple things to say and I'm not sure, I guess, well, I'd like them to be discussed. One is, we talked a while back about how to communicate with emails between commissioners. And would like to remind John that he really should not be using Chris as an intermediary. Because when Chris forwards John's emails, he is in fact becoming a responder. Because he is forwarding, he is involved as an intermediary, and that really isn't correct. We just send each other things, FYI, do not respond, you can send any information, you could send anything you want. As long as the subject is FYI, do not respond. And to have the email notice say that it comes from the executive makes me go right there. And it is though Chris is approving what you want to send, and I don't think, we've already discussed this, and I'm just giving you a reminder to send it directly, FYI, do not
And if
respond.
I choose not to do that, what's the
Yeah, I don't-
repercussion?
I don't think that's a policy that we all agree to.
Well, I don't
That's
think,
your
I
opinion.
don't think it's a policy, I think it is avoiding, it is putting our executive director in a position where his response is to forward it, and there is to be no responses to an FYI.
That's not my interpretation of the law.
And I don't see it's not Chris's intent to give a
Well,
thumbs up
yeah,
or
but
thumbs down, they call it.
All right, if you two don't agree, then it will stay the way it is, and John will do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I think John
Okay.
could send an email directly to you, and I think
Okay.
John could send an email to Chris, and Chris could send an email to you. I think both of
But
those
why-
are perfectly legal.
Maybe you could explain why it's necessary for Chris to take his time to do that.
Well,
Just
It
explain.
avoids the inadvertent respond all click selection on an email that has where your information only do not respond. It clarifies, it takes that, oops factor out, I believe is one.
Well, you
issue.
could still hit that. I don't
Not-
see that
not if I
that
send
makes sense.
information to Chris to forward to you.
Well, if you hit reserve,
No, I'm
well,
sending
I'm
it
saying
to.
that then he gets further involved in discussions or not
But he's
discussions.
not on the commission. It doesn't matter if he's involved. He's not gonna form a quorum by himself.
Well, then, I pull that back.
I think it's only us, if the two of you are having a back and forth email conversation.
That's a
Discussing court
violation of
business,
open
that would be a
public
violation of open public.
Okay,
rules.
Yeah.
So as long
Okay.
as, I think either way, as long as you're not having a conversation, whether Chris is an intermediary or not, that doesn't change the fact that you guys are
I
communicating.
disagree, but majority rules.
And really, it's not, I'm also not a lawyer. If we want a definitive
No,
answer, we should get our lawyer involved.
It's not that important.
Well, I think MRSC advised the whole.
I disagree.
They have
I disagree.
suggested that. I've read the page on NRC that says that often entities do go through their executive director.
I disagree, and I already said I pull back because I'm not in the majority.
Okay.
The
So,
other thing, I had one, oh, do you have,
you had more, okay.
I got one more. I did attend the Coupeville Lions, yes, that's a tie. And I recognize how important it is to have contacts in the community other than just the leaders, like at the Main Street group. That's very important, but to have face to face with people you know and people you're gonna get to know, have a little gift for you.
Hey, business.
And you've got a whole bunch of those, but I found that one.
Okay,
And I was asked at that meeting for a business card, and of course I didn't take mine. But when you're meeting people and having conversations at any of these groups, where did you get that?
Chris,
Oh, why didn't I get one? These are homemade, but they work.
Okay,
yeah,
I can order you guys, and the reason I haven't ordered them is because if you look at that card.
it's years.
Yeah, years, and I ordered the minimum amount, we just don't get, like, I haven't given away a card in probably 4 or 5 years, but
Well,
if you guys want cards, I would more than happy to order you guys some cards, and I haven't offered, so that's on me.
I think I'm down out of 500 or 250,
It was
however many.
250 was the minimum
You
unit.
know, I'm getting down after how many years, cause I do hand them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
I would like business cards.
I would like official ones.
Yeah, I don't need more than 250, that should do me for
Yeah.
the rest of my life. But,
Cause I think.
yeah, no, I would give them out, yeah. I,
The larger, we have over 8,000 voters in our district.
Mhm.
And 75% of them voted in the last election. And the more we have personal relationships and our known news spreads other than just social media.
it's an invitation to contact me, they have a concern or something and they
Yeah,
wanna
yes, and
reach out,
here's.
collaboration, and I don't have to like
We'd love
write it
to
on a
have-
piece of paper or something.
Yeah, the main comment I made was, we want to hear from you. We want your ideas. We want participation because it belongs to all of us.
Mhm.
And then I didn't have the car. But I'm gonna drop into the Tyee at their December meeting before they start and
Well-
say, anybody?
Well, the other Lions don't drink. They have their meeting at a church or something. So
Yes,
Yeah,
they-
they have
It's a good Lions club.
Well, the Lions were not drinking. They were, that's a wonderful group. I learned that they're the ones that put up the flags on national holidays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's,
didn't know that. I thought it was a Veterans group, but it isn't. It's a Central Quimby Lions.
both groups are really involved. The central that you went to is kind of the doers, right? They actually build the benches, they build
Well, I
things.
learned.
We actually went out at our kiosk, when you enter into the wharf, the big kiosk on the right,
Yeah,
they re-roofed that for us. We gave them, they re-roofed it. The other one is excellent at raising money and making donations to really good programs around town. So the two of them just, they cover both ends of it. It's wonderful.
and the more we can give them to do, the happier they'll be. Really,
Yeah, they're a great
that
group.
was a wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, so under commissioner discussion,
Yes.
I'd like to ask a test question.
Oh, geez.
No, it's tough.
So we're supposed to reside in a district 1, 2, or 3, right?
Uh-huh.
Front Street, whose district is that in?
Yours.
I don't know,
I do.
all of
I look
the
at the
borders.
map. I look at the map all the time.
This is off of our website. It's in yours, street is in your district.
Where's Front Street?
Yeah, because David Day, that was his territory.
Well, that's different than the map I've seen.
No, it's because you're replacing David Day and David Day, that's his district, so
Where did this map come from?
it's always
On
been
our
there.
website.
Really?
It's also the one that's registered. We went through the whole,
I had no idea. Because
I
the
mean,
one we have has a straight line and it had William Bell in that was.
And
his street,
actually-
And that was it.
This could be interpreted that if somebody lived, because there are some apartments or whatever in Vaughn's little building that is at,
oh, yeah, on Front Street
yeah.
upstairs.
But it's like if you're on the water side of Front Street, it would be, if it's on the,
Does the Department of Elections have this information? They're the ones that send out the ballots.
Well, we follow the same. And we just went through this exercise 2 years ago where we had to do the calculations to see if there needs to be a redistribution of the voters.
In which year?
You have to do it every,
Yeah, every 10.
yes, every 10 years. That is correct. Well, that came up. And I hired a consultant who was also doing the school districts, because we follow the school district, the Coupeville School
Yeah.
District. And at the same time, Port of South Whitby was doing it. And so he actually went through and we hired him to do all the calculations. There was not a need to redistribute. And he made sure that all the lines that were in the mapping was correct. So that is updated and authentic.
and what's weird is like, we've always said Classic Road is a little line between Port of South Whitby and us. You go down and look at tax records on who's giving money to us. And there are homes way south of Classic Road giving money to the Port of Coupeville.
Yeah, it's not actually Classic Road, but that's the road that people
Use.
use as a cutoff, but it's not. There are people south of that that
Where,
are included.
this is on our website.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, We have. to
Well,
post it.
I'll print that out and go down and talk to
And there's
Michelle.
actually a spot where all three of our districts touch
There's a corner.
at Callan's Restaurant.
We should meet up there and not
Yeah.
talk about anything,
That sounds like fun.
So
or at least not talk
All
about
the
business.
virgin- They have power too.
As long as we don't talk about business, we could.
That's right.
hang
That's exactly right.
and so the other discussion factor, what do you guys think about what's happening with Oak Harbor and their marina?
Oh, my.
I've been confused by the newspaper articles.
Because the article in the newspaper said one of the considerations was to have a port.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh,
Up
yeah,
there.
well, anybody that can dump something on us,
Well,
They
it-
could form their own to cover their own.
yes.
expenses.
It would be
I would
very-
recommend that.
They could also charge the people that use the marina the cost of using the marina.
Yes,
well,
What a
that,
concept.
that plan was flown out the window many years ago because they're now in the $50 million range to rehabilitate or replace, and you will never make that up with raising that. So they actually got, Eric Fitch, which is executive director for WIPA, and myself and the Port of South Whidbey, and had a conversation and asked, would you be willing to take this over as a port? And the answer was no. And then the other one was, what would it take for us to create a port district? And that's where Eric stepped up and said, that's only been done like once or twice, maybe in the last 30, 40, 50 years. And it's probably highly unlikely. So I'm really afraid of what's in the future for that marina.
well,
Yeah,
Things-
the other option would be like, if it benefits the people of Oak Harbor, then the city of Oak Harbor could take it on as a project, just like a park or something.
Well, no, it's owned by the city of Oak Harbor.
But then why can't they just pay for it?
because it's millions and millions of
Yeah.
dollars.
And if it's not viable, then
Yeah.
it's not gonna continue to exist. I don't
And
know.
getting rid of it and removing it is very expensive.
I'd
Yeah,
have to pay
I
for
mean,
it either
50
way.
some odd million, if they went for a bond, or I don't know if they could even do that. I can't see the city of Oak Harbor, all those communities voting to support that when these people,
No.
they have been, more in their boats are way under market. Cause I know, cause I was a
Well,
voter, I was
that's
like, oh my
probably why
god,
they're in
that's so cheap.
this situation.
I don't know
They
what they're
haven't
gonna
been
do.
charging the right amount.
Yeah.
Gee, I know a port that had a similar situation, but we had a way to work about it because we are at least not multi-million dollars in the hole like they are.
Well, about 13 million, if you count up all the capital projects 3 years ago. We just did a quick, hey, what if we need to do this and this, like 13 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're up above, I believe, 50 million to rehabilitate. They have to dredge.
And dredge was another 40 or 50
It
million.
was a lot of money to dredge. So I really hope they can figure something out. I don't know what their options are.
The only reason I bring that up is David Day, predecessor,
Oh, yes.
he recognized that when the county commissioners set up the tax district for the Port of Coupeville, it really was too small a tax base
Mm-hmm.
to do anything, and we struggled with that. And that's why,
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what we want to do, whether it's too small or not.
or how
Yeah.
we solve the problem. I mean, you have a problem, you figure out a solution and you do that, and then move on to the next problem and solve that. But his thing was that, we should extend our boundary to be greater than we currently have.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those topics that can come up when we start talking about the future in 2025.
Yeah.
We're going to plan to have some workshops where I'm hoping to come up with a format that we can follow so that there's time for each of these ideas to be presented.
Yeah.
And a plan to achieve them and discussion. It's going to be complicated to figure out what to do because there are so many options. And each of us commissioners, I think, need to do our homework so that we are ready for workshops. And it's not just a big discussion group, it's a presentation of ideas followed by discussions. And I'm sure we can do it.
Well,
Yeah, I could bring in an expert on tax levy lid list.
But
just
I
start
think
there.
we need to start with ourselves so that when we get an expert, we know. Have some idea what he's talking about, or she talking about.
And I think, Ed, was it Fish with WPPA, who was that, who's their executive director?
Eric Fitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves coming to Whidbey Island.
Oh, trying to work, yes, family.
Yeah.
He calls me whenever he comes up. You here this weekend? Yeah, no,
Yeah, I do have a suggestion.
good
The
guy.
MRSC has such a complex section on their website for levy maps, which will undoubtedly be one of the options considered. And if you start now to read it and have some familiarization with the terminology at least,
Mhm.
it will help. Because I think we need to consider every possible option before we move forward. And that will be one of them, and a second IDD is
Or
something we can.
Public
research.
Development Authority.
All of these different things that we need to consider, because I would think that we don't want to invite someone or even have to pay a consultant to tell us things that we can find out ourselves. We need that input, but if we have some kind of a basis first, it's better than coming into it cold.
Anyway, that's enough for me to throw on the table.
Wow, with that, do you have anything in mind? Okay, well, this is again an opportunity for public comment, but since do we have any new attendees? Well, then, we've done it again in a reasonable amount of time, and boy, did we do a lot.
Mhm.